Earth belongs to everyone and to no one. And that with the Commons, we have shared responsibility to make sure that our planet, that our Earth, and in particular what we focus on, water, is healthy and that we steward the water. So we have a responsibility to the water as the water has been a gift and a blessing to us. Hi, my name is Brenda Coley and I'm the co-executive director of Milwaukee Water Commons. The way that we organize, we use 3 to 4 frameworks. The Commons philosophy, environmental justice, collective impact, and community engagement. Frameworks really help guide us. If we are thinking of an activity that we're going to do, we're going to look at these frameworks to tell us if we are within those boundaries. We also look at our work, the issues we take on through an environmental justice lens to be sure that the most vulnerable communities, people of color, indigenous people are thought of well when we're taking this stand or we're doing this work.
At Milwaukee Water Commons, we're really proud of our annual events. We have 3 events that happen every year: the Confluence, the Cream City Classic, and We Are Water. And there are times that we really bring the community together to celebrate our shared water and to tell stories about our connections to water, to highlight work that's been done, and model what it looks like to be a truly water-centric city. Celebration, bringing the arts, bringing our cultural perspective is critical to the work that we're trying to do at Milwaukee Water Commons.
Water City Agenda was really an example of community engagement for Milwaukee Water Commons around this idea of Milwaukee becoming a water-centric city. So folks generally speak about Milwaukee as a water-centric city, which makes sense because of its position on Milwaukee's 3 rivers and on the shore of Lake Michigan. But what we had seen through our organization was that the community was not really engaged in deciding how Milwaukee really was becoming poised as a water-centric city. The conversation was more about technologies and businesses, which is an important component, but it didn't center community priorities. The Water City Agenda was an attempt to bring together the community to say, if we're going to have a water-centric city, what does that mean to you? What we did was ask 1,300 Milwaukee residents to put their input into what it meant for them, for Milwaukee to have a relationship with water. And then through public input process, through engagement, we were able to whittle that down into 6 core initiatives that would guide some of the work that we would do to really advocate on behalf of Milwaukee's communities. Those initiatives were green infrastructure, water quality, blue-green jobs, arts and culture, education, recreation, and drinking water. Those were some of the core priorities that synthesize all of the input that we got from really just getting out into community events and hearing from folks about how they connected to water. I'm always amazed how often folks will discuss community priorities and things that they see being issues in other systems, as transportation systems, economic systems, public health systems, and think that that's separate from our waterways. But what we really found out with the Water City Agenda was that there are deep connections between the way that we relate to our environment and the way that we think about our relationships to each other.
Because baptism is something that we do every Sunday within worship. When we do our confession and forgiveness, it's around baptism. So we're constantly making the link to water in our sacred lives and it being a sacred thing to how we live and how we show up in the world. We were real excited to learn more about how we could be better stewards of water ecology, and then also just learning more about Milwaukee River, the tributaries, and also Lake Michigan. When we prompted the folks in our congregation about who would be interested in that, we actually had to pare them down and say, okay, we can't have a team that large. And so it was really a great response. Our congregation and the people that we were able to talk to really have a better understanding of just the everyday small things that you can do that make major impacts, let alone then, of course, the advocacy to our legislators about not dumping into our lakes and our rivers. Also just realizing how important it is to just the whole entire ecosystem.